Ja, trevligt. Sitta här med sina närmsta vänner och prata lite rock'n'roll. Anders Tengner heter jag och ska hålla ett litet Q&A som det heter. Och du vet alla vad det innebär? Jo, det innebär att publiken ska vara med och delta i den här lilla frågestunden. Och det vet jag att många tycker är jättejobbigt. Titta på mig, jag sitter här och pratar i en mick och tycker inte det är ett dugg skämmigt faktiskt. Och det tycker inte ni heller, för nu har ni chansen att ställa frågor till de här artisterna som vi kommer att ha här under några dagar. Ta den chansen tycker jag. Fundera ut en liten klurig fråga, ställ den och få ett direkt svar härifrån scenen. Det blir mycket mer pinsamt när jag säger att nu är det dags och ingen vågar prata. Ska vi prova? Ska vi prova med någon? Räck upp handen någon, ska vi se om någon vågar ställa en fråga här innan vi drar igång. Är det någon som vill ställa en fråga? Ja, så blir det precis rätt dött som det brukar bli i klassrummet. Det är inte alls bra. Och då måste ju jag lägga mig i det här och gå fram till folk och tvinga ur dem en fråga. Och det är inte riktigt kul det heller då. Ska vi prova igen ifall det är någon som är spontan och vågar räcka upp handen? Titta! En blond skönhet på första bänk. Du hade nu fått frågan. Och värre än så är det inte. Jättekul! Och så sitter vi alla och njuter av de här roliga svaren. Eller hur? Va? Jag börjar dock och värmer upp er lite grann med lite frågor så ni förstår. Ja, det är så man gör. Man ställer en fråga och får ett svar. Fantastiskt. Please welcome from Germany, Doro!
Hey everybody, I'm so glad to see you, I'm so glad to be here. My first time here on the rock convention in Sweden, and yeah, I'm having a great time, and I hope you guys have a great time too.
Yeah.
Let me hear say yeah! 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 Okay, sounds good.
No, yeah, I just told them that they're going to take some questions after we speak.
Yes.
So I just drilled them now, so you're going to get a horde of questions just pouring at you.
Okay.
Anyway, we met years ago. We met already in the 80s when you were in Warlock.
Yes.
I did interviews, and then I saw you on the road with many bands. But it was a while since we saw each other last.
Yeah, I think our first time in '86 on the Judas Priest tour, maybe?
That may have been the first time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Was that, you were in Sweden on that tour?
Yes,
Absolutely.
I was in Sweden. Yeah, it was my first time in Sweden.
That's probably when we met the first time. Yeah. What a good tour that was.
Yes, it was a dream come true. That was actually the tour when I quit my job, because I was a graphic artist before, and then somebody called the company I was working for, and then my boss said, hey, it better be important. And I said, oh yeah, I don't know, maybe something, somebody died or something. So my manager was on the phone, he said, Doro, are you ready to quit your job? And I said, why? He said, well, we can go on tour with your favorite band. And I thought, you're kidding. He said, yes, Judas Priest. They just called, and then I went to my boss and I told him I'm quitting my job. I'm going on tour with Judas Priest. He didn't know who that was, and he had no idea. But then he said, okay, you're crazy, but...
Yeah, sacrificing a good, honest job for a tour with Judas Priest, are you crazy?
Normal people don't understand, but all the metalheads understand.
I know. I had a day job as well at the post office. And one day, EMI flew me over to Germany, to America to see Scorpions.
Oh.
And then when I came back, I realized this is what I want to do, so I never went back.
I can totally imagine.
It was the same thing. Anyway, if we look at the world actually consists of more women than men. There's more women in the world than men. Yeah, but there's not more women in rock and roll. Yeah. This is a subject people have been talking about for years, but we have you here. You are the rock and roll queen. Why are there so few girls who dare to take the step and become a rock star?
Man, that's many people ask me that question. I don't know, because it's the greatest job in the world. I mean, to me, it's not a job. It's a mission. And if you do it once, you are hooked. You will always do it for the rest of your life. And I think now there are many more women and girls doing it than in the 80s. There was maybe 6, 7 girls. Now I think it's getting more balanced. It's still not enough. But
no, but girls make a big name in pop. I mean, there's plenty of pop girls singing. There's a lot of girls in music.
Yeah.
But you don't see them that often in hard rock.
Man, I have no explanation, because it's the best, it's the greatest. I think that's the real thing. Pop is like, you're dependent on whatever flavor of the month, the fashion, the looks, I guess you have to be young.
Yeah, thank God, we can look the same forever.
No, and I think yeah, in metal, you know, I mean, the best people, they're still the people from the 80s, and you know, when you look at Lemmy, Ozzy, but yeah, women, that's rare. But I'm hopeful, I think. And even today, I met so many women who have bands and, you know, who are starting. So I think that's good. And worldwide, I see that actually.
You have worked as a role model for a lot of girls.
Yeah, I just love metal, and I thought it never mattered. I always thought music is above that all. It doesn't matter where you're from, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. If you have metal in your heart, that's all it takes. And I think the people, they pick that up, so it doesn't matter. And I never felt degraded as a woman or as a girl. It was always cool, especially by my fellow musicians or bands. They were always treating us great. Like, for example, yeah, my first big tour was with Judas Priest, and at the same time we did an England tour with Wasp and Blackie Lawless, and he was
He's
so
a sweetheart.
cool.
He's a sweetheart.
He is, and after the Judas Priest tour, actually, we toured. It was a long tour, and we finished in Scandinavia, and we played all the big ice hockey venues, and everybody said, "Hey, you little girl, you shouldn't go on the ice because it's, you know, you get sick." I said, "No, you know, I'm metal, so I won't get sick." So I was always watching the sound check every day from the Judas Priest guys. And yeah, and then one day later, we hopped on tour with Wasp in England. Yeah, and then I was dying. I think I had pneumonia, I was so sick. And the Judas Priest tour was big, great venues, and in England the tour, it was smaller clubs, just one dressing room, you know, no bathroom, cold and dirty. And then I was sitting there somewhere, and then Blackie Lawless came by, and he said, are you the support band? Are you Doro? And I said, yes. He said, man, you don't look like you're feeling well. I said, man, I feel like I'm dying. He said, you know what? I take you to our dressing room, I clean out the room, all the band members, the road crew, everybody had to go. And then he said, lay on the couch, you know, rest, and I'll wake you up when it's time for you to get dressed. And then he brought me some magic potions for the boys, and some fruit juice and fruit, which was in the 80s very hard to get. And then he said, man, I take care of you. And that was the sweetest thing. I've never, you know, forgotten that.
No.
So Black
amazing. But he did that because you were a girl. He wouldn't have done that to another guy in a support band.
I don't know.
You can sit there in your stinking dead dressing room. Come on.
I don't know. Yes, I must say, sometimes I guess it's great to be a girl.
It is.
Great to be a woman too. So, yeah, and to me it doesn't really matter.
In 1978, I started the Runaways fan club. I was just like 16, and I started their fan club. And I remember, actually down here in Skåne, in Lund, I think it was a guy from a magazine down here that asked Lita Ford if a girl really could play guitar, because her skin was so soft that she wouldn't be able to play guitar. And this is actually a real question from the Skåne paper. And things like that was the Runaways ever idols for you? Because you grew up when they were big, and did you look at them and go, it's a girl band, I can do this?
Yeah, actually, I've never seen them live, but I always, you know, we have this, you know, it's a silly teenager, you know, paper, it's called Bravo, like the same, like, you know, you said you were writing for OK magazine, and I saw all the pictures and the tour stories, and I thought, wow, that's cool, but I've never seen them live. And then I started my first band with 15, and yeah, with 15 actually I saw my first concert.
Was it called Snakebite, the first
Yes, yeah, it was Snakebite.
Did you steal that from Whitesnake's album?
Actually, I guess our drummer, you know, he was big, and then he took me, that was actually my first concert, rock, metal concert, it was Whitesnake in 1980, and David covered it, he was unbelievable. And then my second concert, it's actually so funny, it was Judas Priest, and I was a big Judas Priest fan, but, you know, back then, no internet, and, you know, and I just had a record, or maybe a tape, a cassette, so we were going to the Judas Priest show. And we were running late because back then I was still working and picking up all the guys in the band, so we were going to see the show. It was a big show. And then we were walking in, the place was packed, and then I told my guitar player at the time, I said, wow, this is the greatest thing, man, Rob Halford is God, it's unbelievable. And then he looked at me, he said, what do you mean? I said, yeah, man, please, that's unbelievable. He said, that's not priest, that's a support band, let's accept. I was accept. And that's the first time that I saw Udo and accept. And they were opening up, and it was 1980 and it was unbelievable. And
Udo and Rob Halford really do look alike.
I mean, they were both blonde and they were both like singing awesome, and the performance, the show was unbelievable. And I said, what, that's not Judas Priest, I couldn't believe it. So I must say I was a big Accept fan at the time. Yeah, and then Priest, yeah, so, and then actually, yeah, and then actually we did it.
Exactly. But then the big times happened. I mean, you really made it big. You played Donington Castle. Donington, that's a big thing. I think you were the first female vocalist to front a band playing at Donington.
Yeah, people told me, I don't know if that's true, but it could be.
But it was a big thing.
It was big. It was like, I think, 120,000 people. And it was like very high, the stage, and there were like some stairs. I almost couldn't make it up the stairs because my knees were shaking, and I was like, and then I was standing on stage looking at the crowd, and it was unfucking believable.
But you do get nervous before big gigs?
Every gig, still. I mean, now I'm doing it 29 years or even longer, every time.
I still got the jitters?
Nervous wreck, yes. Yes, sometimes more, sometimes less. No, I'm amongst friends, and it's,
Then something happened. I mean, you finally became the last member of the original Warlock. Everybody else disappeared. What happened?
Yeah, actually we started a band. We weren't even sure if we would, make something professional. And then I remember we had a fan club. We didn't know about it, but we had a fan club, and they were sending out our demo tapes. And then suddenly we had 4 record deal offers, like independent labels. Yeah, and then in the band, 2 guys, they said, no, we don't want to make a fucking record. And then 3 of the other, well, we want to do a record. So we had a big discussion. We had to convince our bass player that he would record with us. So, and then we said, okay, which label should we pick? And actually we picked one label because it had the coolest logo. It had like a metal logo. It had 2 drops of blood on the M. It was Mausoleum, a Belgian label. Yeah, the logo did it. That was the reason that we signed. And then we did our first record. I thought maybe we would sell like maybe 100 copies or 120 most. And
what bands sell today?
Huh?
That's how much bands sell today.
And then suddenly it was a total surprise. It sold like 25,000 in 1 month. And we had no idea that somebody would even know that we are alive. Like, we're from Düsseldorf, that was the original place, and we had no idea. And then suddenly it became like, it got bigger and bigger, and then we got another record deal. And then some people in the band said, well, we don't want to do it professional, we want to have more like a hobby. And then a couple of years later, it got really tough. We really had to decide, to either do it, but you have to commit 100% and not like just half-ass. And then some people left. And then the record company fired some people in the band. So it was like a...
Turbulent.
It was. And then our name Warlock, that was taken by a guy who had nothing to do with it, but he was our merchandiser. So he took
your merchandiser took the name?
Yeah.
How did he manage to do that?
Yeah, how? Yeah. It was like, it was a friend of ours, we thought, and then, of course, he wanted to make money. And then when money came into the game, suddenly everybody got a little bit weird. And, we went to court, but, the judge probably saw us metal guys, we had like long hair, the guys, and then we were kids, and then the manager suddenly in suit and tie, and I thought, and then I yelled and screamed in the courtroom, so I was removed. And then we lost the name Warlock. And I always thought it's a joke because it was so unfair. I thought, okay, eventually, we will, like maybe 1 year later, we can call it Warlock again. But it only took 20 years. So.
Yeah, I heard that you actually won the name back now.
Yeah, 4 years ago, around 4 or 5 years ago.
Are you going to use the name Warlock?
Yeah. Maybe. There's nothing in the making, but...
Because now you built your career being Doro, but still Warlock has that, nostalgic touch to it.
Absolutely, which I still love that too. But the guys from my former lineup, some of them, they totally gave up music because they were so frustrated with music business and stuff. So the bass player doesn't play at all anymore for the last 18 years.
But you have made a few gigs with the band.
Yes, yeah.
On certain occasions.
Yeah,
was that fun?
Anniversary and in Wacken and in Spain. But in Spain, the bass player, he didn't even play anymore. And we took Nick, our guy, who's in our band for 22 years now. So it would be impossible to have the original Warlock lineup.
Right. But you could still, pick a band and call it Warlock if you wanted to.
Yeah, but I think that's not the real thing. No, it's a little bit disappointing if there's nobody from the original band. So
one.
Huh?
One.
One, yeah, one, but maybe 2 or 3, we will see, but yeah.
But you did a few solo records then, and the second one, I think, was actually produced by Gene Simmons.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm a big Kiss fan, so I want to hear all about what it's like to work with Gene Simmons.
Yeah, it was awesome, and I know here some Kiss fans, I saw them before, I don't know if they're right now here, but I mean, working with Gene Simmons, I'm still a big Kiss fan, and I was such a big fan, I could never get over it. So every day I was walking into the studio, we recorded in LA, and I thought, I get a heart attack when I see Gene, and he was very nice, very intelligent, very caring, and he had a great way to motivate all the musicians, the engineers, and he was awesome, and he was Gene Simmons. And then sometimes I had to sing, I had to do my vocals. And he said, Doro, just look at me. And I said, oh, I can't look at you. I just it makes me nervous. He said, why? And I said, well,
yeah, why?
But so it was great, and yeah, I will never forget it.
Was that the first time you met him, working with him?
No, the first time I met him, the promoter, he knew that I was a big Kiss fan, and they played the Monsters of Rock festivals in Germany in 1989. And then the promoter called me and said, hey, you want to introduce Kiss? It was in Germany, and I said, oh, yes. So I introduced Kiss, and that was the first time that I met Gene Simmons and Paul Zenny and all the other guys. Yeah, and then I thought, I want to...
Did you do, you wanted the best and you got it? Did you do that?
Something like this, but it was so overwhelming. But something like this, I tried to. But that was the first time I met him. And then a couple of months later, I told my manager, his name was Alex, and we worked together 17 years. And I said, Alex, I would love to do something maybe with Kiss or cover a song or something. And is it possible to get in contact? And he said, they probably have no time, he said, drop it, and I said, okay. So a couple of weeks later, I was living in New York. I love New York. So, I'm still living in New York, but back then it was like somewhere in the village. And I got a phone call from my manager, and he said, Doro, meet me at 57th Street in the Hotel Parker Meridian. And I knew that hotel well because it was the first hotel I stayed when I came to the States.
Nice place, I like that place.
Yeah, it's the best, it's super. But the record company paid for it back then, different times. So.
Good times.
Yeah. And then they said, meet me. And I thought maybe there's some friends or family from Germany. And I said, who is it? He said, no, it's a surprise. And I thought, okay. So I put on some clothes, went to the hotel before. I said, can we meet before? He said, okay. So we met in front of the hotel, and I said, so Alex, who is it? Who do we meet? He said, well, you will see. And then I saw in his eyes there was something like, and I said, no, I want to know, who is it? He said, Gene Simmons. What? And I thought, oh my God. And I said, why didn't you tell me? And I was so nervous, and I had to run around the block 3 times. And after 3 times, and I said, are you ready now? Gene is waiting, And then we walked in, and he was sitting there, very nice, and he was listening. I'm not used to that people are listening to when you have some ideas, everybody's usually talking or thinking about something else. But he said, okay, Doro, now tell me exactly what you want for your next album. And it was like, I said, wow. And I felt really that somebody was very understanding. And then we did it. And then at first we said, okay, let's do maybe one song. If it doesn't work out, nobody will know, it doesn't matter. But then it worked out great. And then we did the whole record. And Tommy Thayer, who's now in Kiss, he was actually the co-producer, and he played most of the solos. He was a very nice guy. was from Black and Blue.
Yeah, I know. I remember meeting him too. I never realized he would take Ace's place.
No, that's
where it's at.
He's
But
great guys.
unfortunately, that album did not do as well as people expected. It wasn't the big hit that the record company at least wanted it to be.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, making a hit, for example, the Triumph and Agony album, that was for us the biggest hit, but it's hard to, you know, like when people say, oh, that was great, but now you have to do 10,000 times better, or you have to sell more. To me, that was never about selling, and I was just so happy. Like, I worked with Gene Simmons. For me, it was the greatest record, but then we didn't tour much. We didn't tour in Europe at all, and yeah, and I thought, like, it was actually the time where rock and metal was on the way out.
The grunge kill.
The grunge kill. Yeah, that was actually, the beginning. Like, you turned on the radio and then suddenly you heard grunge and thought, wow, that sounds weird.
Many 80s bands died. The cruel grunge dead.
Not in Europe so much.
No, not in Europe. America was the big thing.
America,
And a lot of bands just couldn't get released in America anymore.
No, I recorded, I think, 5 or 6 records, and then I went to the record company. I was all happy, and I said, I said, this one is great. And I said, oh, we're so excited. And then I said, which song would you like, you know, to play first? And I said, this and this one, and I think this one could be a single. And I said, oh, this is great, so do it. But is it grunge? I said, oh no, it's not grunge. And I said, but it's a little bit grunge. And I said, no, not at all. And I said, well, when it's not a little bit grunge, we can't release it, so you don't even have to play it. And I said, you don't want to hear the whole record? No, nothing. So it happened with 5 or 6 records. And then the first one, which got released, was in 2000 again. So 1999, I felt it was coming back, like a little bit.
Classic rock started to get a comeback.
Yeah.
And you did something fun, at least for me, it was something out of the ordinary, because you were into Thai boxing and stuff, and you actually did a real boxing event on TV. You replaced Samantha Fox, I think, for a boxing game. Tell us about that. You were up in the ring boxing.
And I think, man, the judges and the TV people, I think, it was fixed, so, you know, but...
Was it fixed?
I don't know, man. I could tell you before, and I was just, filling in.
Because you didn't win?
No, but I thought...
But it was fixed. You could have beaten the shit out of that girl.
Yeah, and I thought it was, but anyhow, we were on tour. I was coming from the Russia tour, and then they asked me, and I said, no, it's impossible because we're still on tour. And then they said, well, we would play your music on TV, which is really almost impossible. And I thought, okay, the new record was called Fight, and we had a single, it was called Always Live to Win, so I thought, that's a good sign. But while on tour doing this boxing match, it was hardcore. And then one day later, I had to go back doing a concert, and my whole body was aching, and it was fun.
So you took some beating?
A little bit, but I think the other girl too, you know. And, but I think it was fixed.
But you have metal in your blood, so it hurt.
Exactly. Oh, I broke the nose of the other girl. But it was fun. It was an adventure, and I must say, at first they told us it's just a little game, you know. And then there were 2 boxing matches before the girls were fighting.